Good afternoon, students. I'm here to expose you to the course titled Foundation of Broadcasting. I remember my humble self, Dr. Kenneth, today. I believe strongly that you all got the work plan I sent to your email. Going by the course plan, you see that we have outlines, and we are going to start with the first outline in the course plan, which is understanding broadcasting. Contextually, if you want to contextualize broadcasting, looking at the word broadcasting, you see that broadcasting is made up of two syllables: broad and cast. So for you to even start talking about broadcasting, there is a need that you look at these two words that makes up the syllable. So broad can simply be seen as something wide, something large. Then cast can as well be seen as to spread. So when you are talking about broadcasting, automatically you are talking about to widely spread. So the goal of quotation is, what do we now widely spread? What widely spread is information, norms, ideas to a diversified audience through the medium of communication. And this medium of communication is radio and television. And it might still interest you to know that when we start looking at broadcasting from this point of view, you'll be looking at it, does it really mean that somebody who records his voice in his phone and sends to a friend via WhatsApp or via Facebook, if the person is really broadcasting or not? Or somebody who records his whatever program he or she has in a video form and posts in his Facebook wall, the question is whether the person is broadcasting or not. Going by the definition of Onabanjo, that define broadcasting as the transmission of information through radio waves from a radio or a TV to the audience in far and near places through the receivers, which help them in decoding such information. You now see that by this definition, that broadcasting seems to be limited within radio and television. That brings us to other things which we are going to look at when we furthermore in this course, when we'll be looking at the convergence media, which will give us the room to look at broadcasting from the convergence perspective. But by this definition, you should be able to understand that to broadcast, where your interest should be, whenever you hear the word broadcast, is dissemination of information, ideas, norms, through the radio and television. Then any other thing that comes to your mind, maybe when you start thinking about casting via your phone, probably you recorded something and you want to send to somebody. That is what we call narrowcasting. It's not broadcasting. Or in a situation whereby you are exposed to the cable television, that is what we call cable casting, not broadcasting. But you see, in any field, there's what we call balance or phraseology. Somebody who is not of mass comm can still see film, or rather a short video he downloaded through his computer set as broadcasting. But somebody who is of mass comm should be able to juxtapose, put all these things side by side by trying to know when you are broadcasting, when you are cable casting, or when you are narrowcasting. Now, when you are talking about broadcasting, there are 5 variables that you need to cover in order to capture the definition of broadcasting. Number 1 variable is that it is a medium of communication that utilizes electromagnetic spectrum. Number 2 is that it utilizes voice and sound code. Number 3 is that its operation is usually on a regular basis. Then number 4, it is always licensed by a government agency. Then number 5 is that its programs are for public consumption. So when you are casting, and what you are casting is not for public consumption, is probably you are just narrowcasting. For anything to be broadcast, there is a need that such information you are casting must be for public consumption. Looking at the functions of broadcasting, we'll have as many functions of broadcasting as possible. We're going to look at the news function. If you see our broadcast media, especially the TV and the radio, they are being rated high when it comes to feeding the interpersonal channel. Is the radio and television. Radio and television plays much role when it comes to feeding the interpersonal channel. Feeding the interpersonal channel means that the information what people need in the day in, day out life, what they need to hear, what is happening around them, is part of the function of broadcasting, the education function. Under this education function, we have the formal and informal education. The broadcast media, especially the radio, even the television, they are being used for both formal and informal education. In the case of formal education, one would imagine how can we use broadcast media for formal education. I've had an experience of where the Fulanis, all these herdsmen, you find out that sometimes they speak little English, but you discover that when they make use of radio, each time you see them, they are making use of radio. There is this program they call nomadic education. They are being educated via the radio. This is one of the one function of the media, the entertainment function. This one is very self-explanatory. We expose ourselves to the media every day for entertainment, for musical entertainment, and rest of it. Then social function, socialization function. The radio and the television is a medium of socialization. It's a place where families are linked together. The mobilization function. In our political arenas, the media, especially the radio and television, they serve in mobilizing people for a particular political goal or objective. Their cultural promotion. You see, especially the television in this area, they play much role in promoting our culture. If you look at programs in the television, you see our cultural heritage being promoted. Like if I take you back to African traditional communication, where you have the masquerade, the extramundane communication, because of the mass society theory of the media, we find out that people are now living in the urban area where we cannot experience all these communication systems that are traditionally based. So with the help of the television, you see them coming up with these programs that reflect this our traditional communication system. Like sometimes before they start a program in the media, you hear the metal gong, gung, 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 which is the normal practice in our traditional setting. Then unification function. Going by the unification function, you see that, for example, in the network news, to have 7 o'clock network news, or have 4 o'clock network news in the radio, all these network news that are meant for the whole people in the whole nation, it is a way of unifying people, because when you are from a given cultural background, you listen to that network news, the other person from the other cultural background listen to the same network news. So it is one of the functions of broadcasting. Then commercial function, advertisements, and rest of it. Now the last thing we are going to look at is encoding and decoding. This is a very critical area. In this encoding and decoding, the encoding means the articulation of the message you want to send out. So it's the time before you even originate the message, maybe you want to feed the interpersonal chat, you want to tell them what is happening. Maybe you want to report on just concluded election, probably in Kano State. You as the source of the information, or the reporter, you gather the information, you articulate. That process of articulating, that process of bringing together everything you have gathered to distribute to your audience is called encoding. Then the decoding. Your audience, they have the radio and television set. By the time they are tuned to it, they get what you are sending to them and consume it, as make use of it. That is encoding, that is decoding. And in this process of encoding and decoding, there are two things we need to be careful of. Number one is we should be very, very careful of language. Like Samuel Johnson once said, that the language of the media is the language that men use. If you are broadcasting, there is a need that you bear in mind that the language you are going to use will turn out a household language, a language that everybody will understand, not a language that will confuse the audience. Because if it were to be in the print media, you can use any language. Use any language because your readers, they can read, probably get a dictionary and check the meanings of this language you are using. But in the situation whereby you use braggadocious languages, for example, in the case of just concluded election in Kano State, you come up with maybe a news story in the electronic media, you say something like this, maybe that the election in Kano State turned out another higgledy-piggledy with a lot of casualties. You see, this kind of language is only allowed in the print industry. The language of the broadcast media is the language that men use. Then in a situation whereby you make use of these braggadocious languages, you find out that what you are causing is what we call semantic noise. There will be noise when there is difference between message sent and message received. What you tend to give to your audience is not what they received. There is semantic noise. Another one is channel noise. This channel noise can be as a result of ionosphere. That is the radiation from the sun. For example, if you tune to the radio in the afternoon, you will just be hearing sharp. But later in the evening, if you tune to your radio, everything will be smooth and clear. So when you hear that sharp up and down, it is known as channel noise. So in encoding and decoding, we try our best to make sure that we deal with the noise, the semantic noise and the channel noise. That brings to an end today's lecture. In our next class, we'll be looking at radio and television. See you. God bless you.